Whoops, wrong series. Guys, the time has come for me to admit something. I felt this way for a while now, but I just haven't had the courage to come out and overtly say it. But I realize that I need to be honest with myself and with the world, and I feel like this is the right place to do it. I actually really like Splinter Cell Blacklist. Okay, I lied straight off the bat. I did refer to Blacklist in one of our podcast episodes as an underrated game, so I guess my intro was cheating since I have technically admitted that I like the game, or at the very least that I think it's underrated. But to properly highlight it requires a script and a hilarious coming out of the closet bait and switch intro joke. Check and check. Welcome to my I Love Blacklist TED Talk. As I was perusing the internet in preparation for this video, I found that the court of public opinion nowadays seems to have ruled in favor of Splinter Cell Blacklist. People like it now, which is good because it's a great game. But I can't help but feel like not enough people like it, and I want to add my own voice to the chorus and recommend that you too, dear viewer, should give it a shot. I was first introduced to Splinter Cell via Pandora Tomorrow. My dad brought home a copy of the game for PC, handed it to me, and with a tussle of my hair said, "Go, son, bring peace to the free world and sneak your way to victory. For America." So I did, and I loved it. Pandora Tomorrow was the first stealth game I ever played, and its mechanics were so different to the styles of games that I was used to at the time that it really was a breath of fresh air. Hiding in the shadows, sneaking past guards, being discovered and pooping my pants a little as I scrambled to try and take out the guard before he could raise an alarm, hiding the bodies so his friends would never find him, and always wonder, what had happened to poor Jimmy? He was such a good man. Whatever became of dear Jimmy? Wow, what a rush. Since that formative stealth experience, I've been a fan of the genre. I won't claim that I've played every stealth game that's come along since then, especially because I wasn't allowed to play rated M games as a kid. This sadly meant that I missed out on Chaos Theory, Double Agent, and Conviction, as well as the first 4 Metal Gear Solid games. But in my adult years, I've been able to make up for lost time with games like Dishonored, Mark of the Ninja, Metal Gear Solid 5, Deus Ex, and even the Arkham series. Yes, I know that the Arkham series isn't a pure stealth experience, nor is Dishonored for that matter, because you have the option to go through the missions Scorched Earth style, but there are superb stealth elements in each of those series, and playing in the shadows was always my favorite way to go. Basically what I'm trying to say is, I don't think anyone can accuse me of not being a true stealth fan, so I don't want to hear it, alright? But even after playing and enjoying all of those games that I mentioned, I would always cast my mind back with fondness to my experience with Pandora Tomorrow. It's safe to say that despite my love for many of the stealthy, sneaky games I've played since, Splinter Cell always held the fondest memories for me. Enter Splinter Cell Blacklist. Hot off the heels of the very divisive Splinter Cell Conviction, Ubisoft released Blacklist in 2013 as an about-face and hopeful return to form for the classic series. Conviction took a much more action-heavy approach, and while many newer fans welcomed the polished movement and execution mechanics, many old fans lamented that they came at the expense of some of the strict stealth elements that made the first Splinter Cell games such pioneers of the genre. Happily, Blacklist reintroduces us to a focus on hiding in the shadows, while keeping some of Conviction's more popular innovations. The result is a game that allows you to play the way that you want. And while that may still piss off some of the old fans who want Splinter Cell to force you into choosing pure stealth, I personally think that this is a huge strength of the game. Each mission is graded based on 3 playstyles: Ghost, Panther, and Assault. Ghost is the classic way to play Splinter Cell. Bonuses are awarded if the player is able to sneak past guards without disturbing them. The style also awards smaller bonuses for non-lethal takedowns when combat becomes absolutely necessary, as well as bonuses for the raising of the fewest alarms. Panther is what I would call stealth for a modern audience, quote-unquote. This is basically the silent, lethal way to play the game. less patience and thought than playing the Ghost way. Assault I'm not going to talk much about because I never play the game this way. Seriously, why would you even want to? This isn't a third-person shooter like Gears of War. The mechanics were designed for sneaking, and that's how the game should be played. It's worth noting that for the Assault strategy to even be viable on higher difficulties, you'll need to outfit Sam with the right armor and weapons to survive. This costs money, and the equipment is noisier, alerting guards much more quickly, thus coming at the expense of Sam's ability to ghost or panther his way through the mission. So in a way, if you choose the stealth equipment, the Assault style really isn't available to you. Again, this is if you play on the higher difficulties, which you should. I find this to be an elegant way of making stealth feel necessary in a game where it technically isn't. During my playthroughs, I typically fall somewhere in between the Ghost and Panther approaches. If I get bored of slitting throats and kneecapping the helpless guards with my suppressed shotgun, I'll switch to full stealth and not disturb anyone, and vice versa. The game actually makes these choices for you in a way through its side missions. Grimm's missions fail you automatically if an alarm is tripped, encouraging the player to go dark and ghost through the mission, while Coben missions require Sam to dispatch each guard as quietly as possible, otherwise you'll be contending with major reinforcements. The main story missions are left almost completely up to the player to decide how they will play, and this is wise in my opinion. I understand that old fans want the game to feel the same as the OG entries. I really do. Remember that my first experience with this series was with its second ever game, and I get the appeal. It's what got the stealth ball rolling for me in the first place. The problem is, today's gaming audience isn't patient enough to enjoy being forced down that alley. If we as stealth game fans want this series to survive, we need to accept innovation, or at the very least, accept the fact that it's going to happen. If the game was an overt slap in the face to Splinter Cell's legacy and barely let you be a sneaky boy, I would be pissed off too. The fact is, it just isn't. This game lets you play like the old Sam Fisher if you want to, and there's a lot to enjoy as a true stealth fan. There's also a lot to enjoy if you want to be a John Wick impersonator. And I can't speak to the Assault style because I'm probably never going to play the game that way, but the point is, you can get what you want to get out of this game. The mechanics are also highly polished. The cover system is amazing. I really wish more games like this, or games that at least take inspiration from stealth games, would use this style of cover system. It's so easy to move in and out of cover and move to the left or move to the right or move forward or move backward. It's just awesome. The verticality of the levels is also appreciated, and the fluidity of Sam's movements through all of these obstacles make you feel agile as a cat, and always capable of completing the mission the way that you want to. The animations for the takedowns and executions are all awesome, and give you almost as much sweet dopamine as hitting that perfect ghost rating. What I'm trying to say here is the innovations represent a step forward in the series, rather than a concession to the weak-willed, raised-on Call of Duty only crowd. In other words, I think the changes here are good. And before you come at me with, you've never played the best game in the series, I'll have you know that I have gone back and played some Chaos Theory, and I like it. But at least gameplay-wise, Blacklist is a much smoother and more refined experience. Those classic Splinter Cell games were and are amazing, yes. Again, how many times do I have to say how much I loved Pandora Tomorrow? But innovation is not our enemy, as long as the final product doesn't suck. And it doesn't suck. It keeps much of the series' DNA, while expanding on the new ideas in some really fun ways. I would be happy as a clam to get a second Blacklist, and you should be too. If you're a classic Splinter Cell fan and you haven't played Blacklist, I promise you will enjoy the game because you can play it the way you want to. I also want to remind you that if you've avoided this game so far, just because it enables you to play in a non-stealthy way, you're part of the reason Ubisoft will eventually shelve this series for good. I mean, look at where we are now. It's been 11 years since Blacklist came out, and the news for that original Splinter Cell remake, like Sam himself, has gone dark. We want more games like this, if only for the simple reason that stealth will die on the vine if its community doesn't support it. But I won't lie to you, this game isn't perfect. Sure, some of the character models can look like ass. There are a few sections in the story that force you into combat, and I think that Sam's running animation looks goofy as hell. It's also missing the presence of Michael Ironside, which is a huge shame. But he has revealed that the reason he stepped away from this game was because of a cancer battle, so we can't really fault the game, or Ubisoft, or Michael Ironside, or anyone for that. It is a bummer that we don't get that same sarcastic Fisher from the early games, but I'm going to be 100% honest and say something that may piss some people off. But Splinter Cell was a series that never focused on masterful storytelling. This isn't Red Dead Redemption 2. Sure, the pseudo-realism of its settings and the parallels that can sometimes be drawn between each game's plot and real-world events can be interesting, but the main strength of these games has always been rooted in their stealth mechanics. They're called video games for a reason. 99% of the time, gameplay is king. Splinter Cell falls into this 99% in my opinion, and the gameplay in Blacklist is pretty great. All I can say about Blacklist in the end is this: you're pretty good. Oh, wrong series.
Whoa!